Ambassador Rasool, thank you very much for joining me this morning. It's truly a pleasure, Tata. Welcome. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam, and thank you very much, Leleto, for this opportunity to just speak to you.
Thank you very much. I would have offered you water or coffee, but it is Ramadan.
Yeah.
Could you take us through what does this moment mean to you personally, Ramadan,
Look,
the period of it?
no, Ramadan for me is a massive moment of reset.
Yes.
It comes up to you once a year. Its time varies, so there's varying degrees of sacrifices.
Yes.
This time it's long days that you are without food and drink.
Mm.
Other times it's shorter, but it remains a moment of reset when you kind of teach your body who's in charge.
Mm.
Because for almost 11 months, your body tells you, I want to eat now.
Yes.
I want something to drink. I want to do this now.
Mm.
I think this is the month in which you show who's the boss, that your soul and your mind is more powerful. And at the end of it, you come out of it fairly rejuvenated because you fought such a major battle between your body, your mind, and your soul, and you've come out victorious. And now you are able to say, for the rest of the year, let me see how long my soul can be the boss.
Wow.
And so that's what happens when things which are normally permissible become impermissible. And it is the crux of discipline. You see, this is, if you can conquer your most basic instincts like hunger and thirst,
Yes.
you can conquer secondary instincts like ambition,
Okay.
like selfishness.
Yes.
If you can say to yourself, this is how it feels to be poor. This is how it feels to not have food. This is how it feels to scrounge around for something to eat. Then your soul reignites the empathy within you. Because then you look differently at the people begging for food. Then you look differently at the townships. Then you look differently you think differently about unemployment. It's not a statistic. It's whole families going hungry. And here you are teaching yourself that empathy. And so for me, this is an enormous opportunity. And I use it every year.
Yes.
In order to imbibe discipline in me, and to learn empathy again, because those are things that you think you have,
The values.
but what you have inside don't always find its way outside.
Okay.
You imbibe it as a value, but not as a practice.
Not as a practice. Can you elaborate on this?
No, I think there's lots of people, if you ask them,
Yes. Yes.
um, or you even in parliament or in government, they all theoretically understand the poor. They historically understand the poor because we come from poverty. But we have gotten so many layers of social distance. We have gotten so many layers of privilege, so many layers of abundance. We even have so many layers of conspicuous consumption. We must have the latest car, the biggest house, the most beautiful brand name clothes. So you see, those are the things that speak. We don't deny historically you were poor.
Yes.
We don't deny the stats that you know about poverty. We don't deny the theory, whether Marxist or whatever, that you have learned at university and in political education and umkhabulo about poverty. We don't deny that. But what speaks more eloquently as to whether you are empathetic, whether you are socially distant or not,
Yes.
whether you're doing your best or not, is the layers, and I've been guilty of it myself, is the layers of fat you build over your belly, is the layers of brand name clothes you prance around in, is the layers of cars you are driven in, is the layers of houses, is the layers of security that isolate you from the poor. And so those are the things. And so when I say that this is how an exercise like Ramadan reignites the discipline in you, the empathy in you, and reignites the leadership of your soul over the leadership of your body.
Wow, it is. And rejuvenizes your soul, as you mentioned. Ambassador Rasool, let me take you back a little bit and let's look at the Western Cape. You were the premier in the Western Cape that received the highest votes for the African National Congress in the province, right? 45% in the 2004 general elections. But now if we look at now, the ANC is below 20%. What would you say contributed to that massive decline? I know there were quite a whole lot of infighting, Poloquwane, and so on. So from your side, what would you say?
I think it's the thing that bedevils politics.
Mm.
It is this construct called power.
Okay.
Power you gain when you first have trust.
Mm.
When the electorate trusts you enough to give you power.
Okay.
And there are so many others who think that the road to power is not through trust.
Okay.
It's through the cleverness of your manipulation, the fever of your ambition,
Mm.
the ignorance of the masses.
Okay.
And so when we lost in 1994, it was not an electoral defeat, it was for us a moral defeat. How could we have been the activists of the UDF from all different sectors, the religious sector, the working sector, the church sector, everyone else, we were all in it together. We produced the greatest orators and leaders of the struggle.
The struggle.
During the UDF times, and some of the greatest activists.
Yes.
And yet, when it came to that moment on the 27th of April 1994, the Western Cape turned its back on Nelson Mandela. And that was an enormous moral defeat for us because we had not yet earned the trust.
The trust at the time.
And the National Party could exploit that vacuum of trust by suggesting that if black Africans took over, you as brown and white will lose everything.
The swart gevaar.
The swart gevaar. We didn't have an immunization against swart gevaar, and the only immunization against swart gevaar is trust. And so we had to then start working our way up to trust. And Nelson Mandela kicked it off by making sure that the Western Cape, particularly its brown community,
Yes.
so-called colored community, saw his trust in brown leaders.
And brown leaders, right.
He made them ministers, he made them ambassadors, he made them chief justices, whatever the case may
Dalla
be.
Omar.
Dalla Omar and so forth and so forth.
Yes.
And he kept on saying, this is how much I love and trust you. And it built up. Thabo Mbeki had a far more technical approach to it.
Okay.
He understood the power of the national question. How do you build a nation? And so with him there, we were able to balance the depth of need of black Africans with the need for affirmation from brown people. And so when we dealt with housing, for example, we knew that there were squatter camps in the black African community, but there were backyard shacks in the brown colored community.
The colored community.
And therefore you couldn't simply say, we are going to eliminate squatter camps. You also had to do the other thing. And so there had to be a performative equality in how you deal with it in order, because you were trying to win trust through affirmation. And therefore, it was no surprise that in the 1999 election, The ANC had the most colored votes
Most colored votes
in the whole country.
in the whole country.
We got it in the Northern Cape. We got it in the Western Cape. We got it in places like Nuclear and so forth in Gauteng. We got it in places like Galvandale in the Eastern Cape and so forth, because the trust was beginning to come together. And by 2004, we had to demonstrate what we did for trust in the way the ANC was constructed. And so we had what I would call constructed democratic leadership in the ANC.
In that time.
We found the 5 kind of factions that were dominant in the ANC, because what you had at the ANC was a fragmented organization in the Western Cape.
Yeah.
You had your kind of left with a strong base in Khayelitsha.
Okay, far leftist.
Your Communist Party, trade union, people in Khayelitsha. You had your established African groupings in Laguna Crow. They historically were the ANC. You had your rural colored
the Karoo.
In the Karoo, the West Coast, the Overberg and so forth.
Yes.
You had your colored middle classes. You had your Muslim community. And so forth. And so when we constructed this leadership to surge first to the 99, where we became the biggest party, but only at 42%.
At 42%.
But not enough to govern. When we wanted to plan the surge first to 99 and then to 2004,
yes,
everyone agreed that I should be chairperson of the ANC.
In the province.
In the province. And then we said, okay, let's then find a secretary from your old kind of Laguna Crow. And that's how Mkhabisi Squatcha came in.
Oh, he came in that
Then
way.
we said, okay, let's find our vice chairperson from Khayelitsha.
Okay.
Then we said, okay, let's make our deputy secretary from the rural areas, and that's how Marius Fransman came in.
So it was a multiracial mix.
Then we said, let's make someone from the colored middle classes our treasurer. And in the top 5, we saw the whole province. And so when we were able to go out, you see, we were not preaching non-racialism and inclusivity. We were demonstrating it. We were practicing it. And that's why with that kind of team, we went out to 2004. And in between 2004, that created even more trust was the fact that the DA broke up. And the new National Party came into coalition with the ANC in 2002.
Oh, okay. Martinus van Schalkwyk.
Martinus van Schalkwyk, Peter Maree, Patrick Mackenzie, etc.
Yeah.
They broke away, but they only came with 7 people. The ANC in the legislature had almost 24 people.
So you were over 46%.
No, then that took us to 53%.
Oh, 53% with
that
the coalition.
That took us to 53%. But in the first, from 2002 to 2004,
yes,
the ANC did not demand to be premier. We said, no. Let Peter Maree take the premiership.
Okay.
When he was replaced inside the National Party by Martinus van Schalkwyk, we said, no, we're not going to interfere. We're giving you the premiership. And the signal we sent out is that we were not power hungry.
So it was by example.
By example. And then we went to 2004 with that coalition intact. And so our 46% plus their 7% gave us our 53%.
You could work in a coalition.
And we said to them, we will keep our promise to you. You're only 7%, but we'll give you 4 ministers.
You gave them 4 MMCs.
Yes.
At that time. Yeah, with only a tiny minor.
And when we constructed the government of the Western Cape,
yes,
we had a simple formula. 50, 30, 20. We said the demographics of the Western Cape is that there are 50% brown colored people, there are 30% Africans, and there's 20% whites. And so...
And you constructed it in that way.
So we had 5 colored ministers, 3 Africans, or 4 Africans,
yes,
and 2 whites. In that, and the same formula in the heads of departments.
It was also like that.
It was also white, colored, African, women, everything like that. And that was it. And we went. Really, I'm telling you, as Poloquwane happened,
Yeah.
there was a Markino survey about the approval ratings of the parties and the premiers.
Yes. That was pre-Poloquwane, right? So
I'm telling you, at that point, the Premier of the Western Cape had a 62% approval rating, and the ANC in the Western Cape had a 54% approval rating. If there was an election tomorrow, who would you vote for? 54% of the people of the Western Cape said ANC.
Wow.
And then we went to Poloquwane.
And going into Poloquwane, you align with President Thabo Mbeki. Were you for the stance that him taking a third term?
I must say that all our articulation about how the Western Cape, and we took 70% in support of this position, we aligned against Jacob Zuma.
Jacob Zuma, right?
Because it would completely destroy our trust. The political project in the Western Cape, we predicted, would be destroyed if the ANC went to Poloquwane to endorse a person charged with rape, whether guilty or not, a person found to be generally corrupt, whether guilty or not, and a person whose ethnicism engendered exactly the fears that we had been relaxing over the last few years. And so Thabo Mbeki's problem was that he did not cultivate succession. He did not groom another candidate, and he did not let another candidate shine. And so, in a sense, we would never have supported Thabo Mbeki for a third term as president of the country. That's unconstitutional. But there is nothing that prevents you from being a third term for the presidency of the party. So in a binary split between Jacob Zuma and Thabo Mbeki, we said, if we are against Zuma, then we have to be for Thabo Mbeki. And that's how we went into that, because then we understood that to complete the kind of work that had been started, maybe it could be run or directed from Luthuli House rather than leave it open to what happens in government. You must also remember, by that time, he had also already been dismissed as Jacob Zuma had also been dismissed
as deputy president. Yeah.
And so suddenly we couldn't now change our mind and say, and history has proven us correct, that the moment Jacob Zuma was president, he removed me as Premier of the Western Cape, and a month later, he removed Thabo Mbeki as president of the country. A year later, the next elections are held in 2009. And the Western Cape ANC falls.
It drops
from its 46% to 30%.
It's an interesting one. But many of the detractors on the Zuma camp would say that Thabo Mbeki wanted a third term because you had the majority to change the constitution so that he can also go for a third term in government. Was it like...
No, those are... How many terms did Oliver Tambo has?
He had
30 years.
30 years, over 30 years.
So you see, it's a spurious argument that there are term limits for ANC leadership.
For ANC leadership.
There are definitely term limits for
government
leadership.
But wouldn't you have changed the constitution at that time? You had the majority to change it.
Our constitution writers were very prescient. They gave us a constitution that withstood even state capture. Because when state capture happened, the judiciary was activist. The media was investigative. Civil society was active. Parliament was held to account. They gave us a wonderful... And they built firewalls into that constitution. If you needed a law to be changed, Parliament must vote with 51%.
51.
If you needed a policy to be changed, you needed 2/3.
Mm.
If you needed a fundamental value to be changed, you need 90%.
Yeah.
We would have had to go and persuade other parties to help change the
Have
constitution
changed it.
to create a third term.
And
And it was not something that was going to be done, because at that moment we were the teachers for Africa about democracy. How would the teachers then break the law
then break the law.
if we are discouraging third termism and forever rule in the rest of Africa?
And then Poloquwane, Jacob Zuma wins. Did you know that you would be vulnerable after that with the factions?
I, in fact,
Did you anticipate it?
in January already, said to Jacob Zuma, was then president of the ANC.
Yes, yes.
I said to him, we didn't vote for you, and I would understand if you wanted your own person to be premier.
And you told him in his
Yes.
yeah.
And we joked about it. Why didn't I vote for him, etc., etc.
Yeah.
And so forth. So he said, no, you're one of our better performing premiers. We should look at what happened. But when it came to a July NEC,
Yes.
I think the forces from the ground really prevailed on him to change me. I heard it the Sunday night of the NEC. When that NEC completed, it was leaked that I was going to I was going to be recalled.
And Gwede Matash, was he also behind it?
You see, the so-called anti-Tabo forces, the anti-Gear forces, the pro-Zuma forces, they all went boots and all into the Zuma campaign.
Just guns blazing.
I've had major union leadership come to me afterwards and said, we are ever sorry.
Sorry.
We did that.
Yeah.
I think even the passion with which Gwede now puts in the defense of Cyril Ramaphosa, he acknowledged, in fact, in the 2012 Secretary General report,
yes,
that they made a major mistake in the Western Cape.
A big mistake.
A big mistake in the Western Cape. And so I think that there's lots of people, the left were completely duped by Zuma. They thought when he said radical economic transformation that he meant egalitarianism. They didn't know that behind him was waiting a whole army of state capturers and a family. And so the point of the matter is that I think that they did develop buyer's remorse. Even the current president was caught up.
Ramaphosa.
Yeah, in the Zuma tsunami.
And obviously now recently the Secretary General of the ANC, Fikile Mbalula, came to you to lead up the task team that will revitalize the ANC in the Western Cape. Why did you say no to him? And tell him.
I think it was
because they below 20%.
Yeah. I think it was a complicated set of reasons.
Yes.
And I spoke to the SG about it, and I said, listen, SG, this is like a bolt from the blue that you not just ask me, but you announce that I'm going to be the convener.
And he just announced it without speaking to you.
That you announced it. And this after, since the day I returned, no one from the ANC reached out to me to say, Comrade Rasool, you are back now from America. You've gone through a difficult experience, but we understand what you did or say. We may not have agreed, whatever the case. No one spoke to me, and suddenly you make this announcement. Secondly, I've had to move on.
Yeah,
because I didn't do what others could have done, which was to claim my salary until they sort out whether I'm an employee or not. A month, I spent a month and a bit when I returned to write a 48-page report on an exit report on why, from my opinion, I left the United States and how the PNG, the persona non grata declaration came. I spent a month writing that report for the president, and the moment I handed it in my resignation letter to say I can't earn money that I haven't worked for.
Oh, a salary. So you resigned as well.
So I resigned as an ambassador, but they were paying me for a month and a half, and then I needed to do something else. But by that time, there was such a demand for me in the world. I was being asked to come and explain the supremacism phenomenon. Come and unpack what this Trump thing is about. I was not just speaking to communities. There were governments who were asking me, how do we deal with this? And I shared with them the 5 scenarios of how do you deal with the Trump administration. And there were people who and then I needed to work out what the rest of my future would look like. And so I chose a path that I thought had made impact, that I was a very important voice in a era of populist extremism. And I thought that was what I was going to, and I told the SG that I'm actually choosing that. And then there was something personal in me that said that in 2019, when I was asked to lead the ANC election campaign in the Western Cape, I took it, but I promised never to make a choice out of vanity again. And vanity was that once you're in that position, you can command the media, you can command the speaking things, you go to every function and all of those kind of things. You're the voice of the ANC.
The voice of it.
And it's a nice thing, but you may not necessarily deliver. You may not be able to lift the ANC out of the mortuary that it is in and put it back into ICU. And from ICU back into the recovery ward.
Because it isn't a mortuary. You're quite right.
Yeah, so that's basically, and I thought that the only reason I would do it would be personal, and I didn't think that it was set up for victory, because you don't put 90 people. The best election strategy 90 people would be the equivalent of a camel, an unwieldy animal, rather than a sleek Arabian horse that can.
Just like the DA, which is heavily resourced now.
Yes. Anyway, so it was a hard decision to say no.
Yeah.
But I had to be fair to the ANC and to myself and my family.
Let's also take it back as well. Around 2010, President Zuma appointed you as the ambassador to America, right, during President Obama's term. What were some of the highlights and successes that you got in terms of trade, investment, and strengthening the relationship between South Africa and America? Because the relationship was far more better then than now.
No, I think that there was absolute respect, but a grudging respect for South Africa.
A grudging respect?
A grudging respect. You see, South Africa has always been a moral superpower, even in the Western capitals. That's what the Democrats and mainstream Republicans can't deny. And they have a sense of guilt that this man that they came to know and love and respect, Nelson Mandela, and this movement that was transforming Africa from a fragmented continent into a coherent continent underpinned by democracy, human rights, freedom, development, and all of those, that this was what this movement, the ANC, was about. But they were guilty because they called it terrorist. They stood on the wrong side of history. They supported the apartheid government. They shunned the ANC and they shunned Nelson Mandela.
Mm.
They vetoed sanctions legislation and so forth.
Under Reagan.
Under Reagan.
Mm.
And more importantly, they knew that South Africa was the one country that had a moral constituency of Americans.
Of Americans.
You see, Modi has a constituency in America of Indians.
Okay.
The Pakistan government has a constituency in America of Pakistanis. Their diaspora. Our constituency in America are those who graduated from the anti-Vietnam protests
Okay.
into the civil rights protests, into the Free South Africa movement.
Okay.
We were the ones where whole unions refused to unpack goods from South Africa. We were the ones where Hollywood would put on their fridges, boycott South Africa, free Mandela.
Free Mandela.
We had
Jesse Jackson.
the church base. We could go into any church, whether Riverside in New York or any church in Atlanta. We could go in there. You see, we were a moral superpower in the imagination of the American people. And what we did was in 2012, when it was the centenary celebration, 100 years of the ANC, we had the biggest celebration.
Okay.
Celebrating the values of a liberation movement. We didn't celebrate the president because we had to, in a sense, overwhelm the image of a corrupt president through the memory.
Yes. Through the memory and nostalgia
of what you have supported. And so we had an arts festival. Art was sold in the USA all over. We had a music festival. You know, one of the proudest things about that music festival is that we brought in Pretiende.
Oh, Pretiende. Okay.
To come and sing in New York. I've got the picture of me welcoming her there.
Wow.
Unknown star. Today she's opera superstar.
Yeah.
Because we had a music festival. We had, and we constructed a statue of Nelson Mandela right at the spot where the first anti-apartheid activists were arrested on the premises of the South African embassy.
The embassy. Wow.
And that culminated in the passing away of Nelson Mandela. And suddenly, in the very space where every US president is inaugurated and from which a US president is buried, we had Nelson Mandela's memorial service. While Obama came to South Africa for the funeral.
For the funeral. Sorry.
Joe Biden at that point, as vice president,
Yes.
came to speak there. John Kerry, half of the cabinet were there.
We're there to...
Half of Congress and Senate were there. The anti-apartheid movement came from all over the USA to be there. It was probably one of the most profound memorial services that galvanized America. So what I'm saying is, you see, that is the mobilization of South Africa's moral superpower that we were able to do. After that, we were able to restore trade relations again. Investment at that point from the USA was worth $50 billion into South Africa. Trade, 21 billion. We were able to renew the African Growth and Opportunities Act. AGOA. We were able to renew all of that. I mean, they were, universities and students were taking the exhibit from the Mapungubwe remains that shows that the origin of humankind was in Africa and South Africa. Those were the kind of things that we were able to do. I mean, we were able to keep PEPFAR at a
Pef-
fairly high level of investment. The investment into
health aid.
health research, into South Africa, the fight against HIV, AIDS, malaria, and all of those kind of things. So what I'm saying is that we were able to really turn our moral superpower into investments,
Investment,
trade, aid, and all of those kind of things.
Now, if you look at all of those gains, they have been eroded, right? The relationship has totally deteriorated now. Even AGOA is extended for 1 year, 30% tariffs. We're not even in the table on the G20 anymore. Don't you think that our stance geopolitically, right, has hurt that?
Historically, we always had our own geopolitical stances. If you can remember Nelson Mandela telling the US to ship out,
Yeah,
you're not telling me about Castro and Iran
in Iraq.
and Gaddafi. They were with us in the struggle. You were not. So we've always had a independent, non-aligned foreign policy as South Africa, and we've always had these relationships with the Palestinians, Yasser Arafat and others, and with people that the US feels are unsavory. And then when the US points out that you support Iran, but it's not democratic, we would say, but you support Saudi Arabia and they're not democratic. So what's the difference? They say, no, but Iran represents people. But we say, but Saudi Arabia hides 50% of its people being women. What's the difference here? Except your interests. And so that was the level of debate. And when I, for example, met with the National Security Advisor to Obama, Susan Rice, she had a very kind of dialectical relationship with Thabo Mbeki because he called her out on those kind of things. And so for me, this was the nature of a relationship between us. It's dialectical. We do deliver as South Africa democracy, human rights, and freedom in Africa and for ourselves. We do drive the developmental agenda, like with the new plan for Africa's development, NEPAD.
Right?
We do drive that. We have been part of an Africa that had the 6 fastest growing economies. We remain the biggest economy in Africa, the most diversified and sophisticated one. We remained the gateway into Africa. We were the architects of the African Continental Free Trade Agreement.
The free trade.
And all of those kind of things. We had more ministers making peace in Africa than sometimes in a cabinet meeting.
During Beki's turn, I remember.
This was what we brought to the world. But the US at that time was sophisticated. It understood that it always walked on 2 legs. The one leg is hard power. This is our economic muscle and this is our military, and you don't F with us. So it had hard power, but it also understood that it must have a accelerated and magnified hard power if it doesn't also walk on the leg of soft power. So let's give Africa enough PEPFAR money, enough malaria money, enough Ebola money, so that those diseases can be managed in Africa and not migrate across the world. Let us invest. Let's keep AFRICOM, the military command of the US for Africa. Let's keep it in Stuttgart. Let's not put it in Africa, but let us support Africa for its security, because if security is managed in Africa, it does not become insecurity for the world. Let's make sure that Africa develops, that it gets the technology, it gets the industrial goods, it gets the markets that it requires, because it is better that Africa looks after its own youth, otherwise its youth will migrate all over the world. So that was the sophistication of even administrations in the US that we did not agree with.
Mm.
But they had a sophistication and you could speak to it because at the end of the day, it was a conversation of the intellectuals. And where South Africa ended up later in the Zuma years, and especially with the entry of Donald Trump, we ended up with an anti-intellectualism.
In that period, right?
In that period. We've restored some intellect back into the way in which we now run things. You can now see, you may not agree with the pace of the long game that President Ramaphosa is playing.
Yes.
But you can see there's a plan. It's intellectually founded. And strategically it's there. But where the US has gone is that it has amputated its leg of soft power. So a lot of people get this wrong. The soft power leg and the utilization of hard power happened before a South African ambassador in Washington in 2025 ever said anything. Because on his first night, the 20th of January, he amputated the soft power leg. No more PEPFAR, no more World Health Organization, no more this, no more that. By the 12th of February, when AfriForum and the DEA and white delegations were running to the White House, by the 12th of February, we lost all our money, the sustainable energy, the jet funds, the research grants.
The research grants.
USAID's office was closed, and so forth. By 2-3 weeks later, 30% tariffs. But this was not just for South Africa, and that's the other thing. South Africans think that their funnel vision, the big damage that Donald Trump does in the world, they see it through a funnel. It's only South Africa,
only South
and
Africa.
therefore what did we mess up? What did Zanzibar mess up? What did Botswana do to mess up? What did that country in Vietnam do to mess up? What did Bangladesh do to mess up?
But at least those countries, they're not reviewing, the relationship, because what's happening now in America, there's a bill to even sanction South African leaders.
You see, that
So
bill,
we've got a way more.
that bill, again, we must understand, that bill to sanction South African leaders came as a substitute for kicking South Africa out of AGOA. You see, a lot of these white delegations that went there,
AfriForum and Solidarity.
AfriForum and so forth, all of them went there to say, White House, if you kick South Africa out of AGOA, you will harm black workers.
The farmers as well.
But the most harm will come to the farm owners who are white, the mine owners who are white, the factory owners who are white. Is that who you want to harm? And so the fact that we are getting through AGOA, I've never really had sleepless nights on AGOA because I know that part of our diplomacy was to tell Congress and Senate that the primary victims of kicking South Africa out of AGOA will be the white mine owners, white farm owners, white factory owners. And that was the penny that dropped for them. That's why it passed through Congress, it's passed through Senate, and it may pass through. And the deal that AfriForum made with them is, if you keep AGOA, why don't you rather sanction ANC leaders?
Okay, as a substitute.
As a substitute. If you want to hurt the ANC, sanction its leaders. When in the week after I was declared persona non grata as I was packing up, a contact in the White House phoned to say, Mr. Ambassador, we were weighing up whether to sanction ANC leaders or to expel you. And it was easier to expel you because sanctioning ANC leaders would have to go through Congress.
So you're saying this was pre-planned
This,
in a way?
this was it. And there was a kind of collusion between your white right wing in South Africa
Yes.
and your ex-South Africans who are in the inner circle of Donald Trump, your Elon Musks,
Elon Musk
your
also.
Peter Thiels, your Joel Pollacks, and your David Sachs. South Africans are very powerful in that inner circle, in that MAGA movement.
The MAGA movement.
In that MAGA movement of Donald Trump. I mean, Elon Musk made his whole social media platform available for the victory of Trump. The other South Africans, by and large, bankrolled Trump's campaign. And so,
how difficult was it getting through the Trump administration? Because it was President Biden who approved your credentials, right?
yeah.
And then how difficult was it getting through them when you arrived?
Look, from the moment that it was announced that I was the ambassador designate, the campaign started against me, and it was particularly driven by one of those ex-South Africans who was the editor-at-large of Breitbart.
Okay.
And so they went, and reports came into Jewish Report, and that's when they started painting me
pro-Hamas and
pro-Hamas, anti-Jewish, pro-Iran, and all of those kind of things. And even local Jews know that when I was premier, we were the ones who prevented the kind of attacks on Jewish institutions and Jewish businesses and so forth, because I keep a fairly fine distinction between Jews and Zionists. You've got to redeem the Judaism of that community, otherwise you've got no moral leverage over them. But the fact of the matter is...
Did you have that discussion with President Ramaphosa that we foresee this happening? Did you know that after Trump's victory, then this might happen?
Look, I think we understood it was going to be difficult. There was a sense that my networks in the US would be very, very helpful. And I must say that part of what threatened them was the fact that every week I was speaking to a think tank. Every week I was speaking to a business association. Every day I was going through Congress. In 1 month, I went through the doors of 22 senators and Congress members.
Oh, in Congress.
And engaging them from left to right.
Mostly Democrats.
No.
All across.
We all across. We had a chart in the embassy for our war room, or what we called our situation room, in which we said, who's the dark red Republicans? And who are the light red Republicans?
So you were labeling them.
We were labeling them, and we said we must come through this whole spectrum. And we did that.
But it was difficult, you said.
No, it was difficult because I knew the language of Washington. So, for example, a demand would be, you must get out of BRICS and end your relationship with China.
That was one demand.
That was one demand. Then we will be able to know that you are an ally of the US. I said, you know what?
Wow.
You are holding a shotgun to our knees. You're going to kneecap us. You're threatening AGOA will go, trade will go, tariffs will come. But you first want us to throw away our crutch. And our crutch is China. And then they get, I said, no, withdraw the gun. Then we can talk. But don't ask us to throw away our crutch and then shoot us in the knees. So it was that kind of engagement. I mean...
Was it either or this or this?
Yeah. I mean, on the issue, for example, of the major demand from everyone, drop the case in the ICJ.
Oh, the ICJ.
The ICJ was a major thing. I said...
But I can understand, Ambassador Rasool, like the ICJ case is a thumbs up for human rights. But look at what it has done with our economic interest.
You see, that's the fallacy.
Tariffs, job
that's
losses,
the fallacy.
disinvestment, and so on.
Did Botswana take um, Israel to the ICJ.
No, they
But they
don't.
have tariffs. Lesotho didn't do anything, but they have 50% tariffs. So you see the point
But
of
the
the matter.
hostility is so
No,
much.
the hostility preceded.
Mm,
So the hostility preceded that,
yeah.
and it is because there is this attempt to break down this moral superpower status of South Africa. You see,
Morals and interest. Which one do you look at first?
both, but you always keep the lens of your values to your eye, and then you calibrate your interests.
Okay, so you start with values, you would say,
Yes,
and then the interests.
and then the interests.
What is the trade-off? Look at what's happening with us now.
No, I don't think that I think that what has happened is that our values have actually begun to kick through now. The fact that we continued having the G20 last year, the fact that at that G20, the United Kingdom came and said, listen, we are now in the same boat as you are in our relationship with Donald Trump. Can we replenish the Global Health Fund so that you can get back on track with that? Germany, France have come and said, this just energy transition, where the US has withdrawn its money,
Take it over.
we'll put in the money for that. China has come to us and said, listen, this was last year. They're coming again in March.
Okay.
Last year they said, okay, so 5 of your fruits were blocked in the US.
In the US.
Can you send that to China? We'll buy it. I think, you see, this is, they are, and I come to what I advise a few other governments on.
Yes.
There are 5 scenarios of the relationship that we can have with the US. The best scenario is mutuality. We are unequal. You are more powerful, but you need things from us, and we need things from you. Let's do that. But Trump has kicked out mutuality with the whole world. Then what Trump wants is what we call surrender. That's when you say, okay, we're out of the ICJ. Don't worry. We'll not. We'll withdraw from BRICS. Don't worry. We'll give you all our critical minerals.
Critical minerals.
So he wants surrender, and we can't do that because there's issues, values of sovereignty, and all of those kind of things at stake. You don't give up eternal values for a temporary president. You see, that is the fundamental thing. Take the pain for a few years.
Yeah, but
No, I understand that, but you don't give up eternal values that we have fought for 350 years and that we will continue to nurture. The opposite scenario of surrender, only China comes close to it and not even very close, is retaliation. China withheld, for example, when Trump puts up, when they had a tariff war,
the tariff.
when they came to 150% tariffs, and the United States said, no, we're now going to 250%. China said, sorry, we're not playing this game anymore. And China withheld, for example, one rare earth element called gallium. Now, gallium is the coating that goes onto microchips and semiconductors.
The semiconductors.
And China has the monopoly on that. So Trump had to go and eat humble pie in Seoul to meet with President Xi to say, listen, man, break this thing. Give us a year's supply. And he came out there, we found each other. He's going to give us a year's supply of this now. So China has ways to retaliate, but not total ways. We're not. No one in the world is there yet. But in between there are scenarios. Our president, rather than surrender, tried appeasement. He said, oh, Mr. Trump, here is two white golfers, and here's a white billionaire. I've even left some of my ministers behind. You can ask them, is there a white genocide? You see, the surrender will be based on an absolute set of lies. If you surrender on the basis of a lie, you affirm the lie. But the last one is
But the appeasement, we still want to keep the trade surplus.
And
We still want duty-free access to their market because they're the largest
no,
economy in the
that's
world.
exactly it. And that's what we went in with. We
Mm.
went to say, let's negotiate all these things.
Mm.
If you want us to buy, we'll stop buying gas from Mozambique.
Mm.
We'll buy it from Exxon.
Mm.
Because he said that there's a trade deficit,
Mm.
that they are buying more from us than we are buying from them. So I
For
said,
them,
okay, let's
yeah.
make up the trade deficit. Do
Mm.
you want to send, let's negotiate. Do you want to send chickens to South Africa? You'll
Mm.
hurt our industry, but
Yeah.
we'll flood the market with chickens.
Mm.
Do you want to sell us gas? I'll speak to ExxonMobil.
Mm.
That we buy the gas from you, even if
Mm.
it's a bit more expensive.
Yes.
What else do you want? Do you want a critical minerals deal?
Mm.
Let's talk about it. So we did do the appeasement thing. And so, for example, things like chicken. It's a hard thing to do, but it was on the agenda.
Mm.
We even wanted, when the US had an egg shortage,
Yeah.
we were even willing to pack in tons of eggs
And ship it
and
right.
ship it to the US so that the egg prices could come down.
Mm.
So I think it was absolutely important that we played the appeasement game.
Mm.
But nothing stopped
Nothing stopped it. Just
the anti-South African stuff. And the anti-South African stuff is largely because and this was the remarks ostensibly that got me declared persona non grata.
In America. Mm.
You can't explain what is the logic because it's an anti-intellectual position, except that I said that I think that there must be a supremacist instinct at work.
It worked in the government.
And it's not only in South Africa. I pointed out the fact that when J.D. Vance last year went to the Munich Forum, he first went to campaign for the far right in Germany.
The AFD.
AFD. The same thing with Elon Musk. When Keir Starmer was going to be Prime Minister of Britain from Labour, he went to go into the files of Keir Starmer that when you were the Attorney General, you didn't charge these Pakistanis for rape and so forth and so forth. I mean, who did he invite to his inauguration? It's the far right. Nigel Farage, the Italian, the Orban from Hungary, Marine Le Pen, etc., etc. You see,
so there's you're saying there's a supremacist racist sentiment within the American government.
It would be racist, but it's also Islamophobic. It would be racist, but it's also misogynistic. If you look at, for example, what is now coming out in the Epstein files. You see, supremacism is a whole collection of prejudices and discriminations. You see, you can't say, oh, he's anti-black.
Yeah.
Because anti-black today was anti-Jew yesterday, anti-Semitic yesterday.
Anti-Semitic, yes.
Is Islamophobic today. You see, they choose their targets and they have the ism or the phobia for their target.
But as an ambassador, Ambassador Rasool, are you allowed to voice out those opinions? Say, hey, you guys are racist, or you guys are Islamophobic, or you are.
No, those were not the words.
Diplomatically.
I spoke about a supremacist instinct.
Because you said it like plain like this.
Yes, no. But the fact of the matter is, diplomacy is not lying. Diplomacy is telling the truth gently and sophisticatedly, and in the right audiences. You don't go to a public rally and say, "Oh, you've got a corrupt president, you've got a supremacist president."
Yes.
Who does that? The incoming ambassador from the USA,
Basel.
Right. You see, if I am the standard for persona non grata, he should have been a non-starter. Because he ran the organization that declared Mandela, the ANC, and the liberation movement as terrorists. He wasn't just holding an opinion.
So he's a far-right conservative.
And he has the public platform. When he was interviewed for the job,
Mm.
He said, how are you going to do? I'm going to change them. I'm going
So,
to show them that BEE is racist.
mm.
I'm going to get them to,
Expropriation of land without compensation.
that's what I'm going to fight there. I'm going to tell them that they must drop the case against Israel. I'm going to go there to take them out of China.
Do you think?
No.
He
Can,
even said
can you? No. Put all of that on a scale.
yeah.
Then
No, I
on the
see.
other side of the scale, you put there is a supremacist instinct at work in the USA.
Mm.
So what I'm saying is that, and so part of our appeasement, I think, is that we are saying, okay, send him.
Mm. Do you
Let's
think
send
he's
him.
gonna last though?
You see, once touch is a move.
Mm.
If the man has shown you who he is, and you say, come.
Mm.
When he
He's
acts on who he is, can you say, go?
yeah. No, I see. But don't you think with the ICJ case, it's time to look at it? Because there is a ceasefire there. There's Donald Trump creating peace boards and all of that. The world is moving, and we still, pressing on this.
No, look, I think the idea that there's a ceasefire is in dispute. I mean,
Mm.
there have been almost 1,000 killed since the ceasefire was implemented.
Mm.
Um,
1,000.
yes, they've moved much more strongly onto the West Bank. They're building settlements like anything in the West Bank. I've just been to Jordan and I've been to Cairo. The warehouses are full of medical equipment, food things, baby clothes, blankets, hygiene things, everything. It's not moving.
There's still a blockade.
It's a, it's a slow.
Slow.
And the point of the matter is that Gaza will probably be half to a third of what Gaza was, because the ceasefire is a way to seize the coastal part of Gaza. That's where the Riviera will be. That's where the real estate moguls. So the peace board.
I saw it with the World Economic Forum, the presentations that were placed.
That's exactly it. So the point of the matter is, if we are probably the only ones standing between complete annihilation and survival of Palestine as a people, not as a country.
But why couldn't the other countries that are close by, other Muslim countries like Qatar and Egypt, join in with South Africa?
No,
like Saudi Arabia and so on.
It doesn't take a rocket scientist to understand their sense of appeasement is, oh, Mr. Trump will give you a new Air Force One jet.
The jet with Qatar,
Yeah.
they buy.
No, send your children here. We'll build the Trump Towers here.
Mm.
You see, the reason. You see, there's a very complicated socioeconomic unfolding in the Middle East.
Yes.
If you are an Arab country and you are seeing the rise of clean and green energy,
Okay.
and you wonder, what do I do with all this oil?
Oil.
This will be obsolete in 70 years or in 100 years. I'm sitting here with all this gas, and meanwhile they are making solar panels and wind and hydrogen energy and so forth.
Yes.
What am I going to do? I haven't prepared for this post-oil future, this post-fossil future. I haven't prepared for it. And the United States, no, we'll help you. But the way to help you is sign the Abraham Accords.
So they're strong-arming them.
The technology for you will come through Israel. And so therefore it's not in your interest. Who are these Palestinians? They're just irritants. They're irritating you. They're irritating Israel. They're irritating us. Put them aside. You see, think of your post-oil economy, because if you've locked up 50% of your workforce and you've made your princes fat and lazy, who's going to run your economy?
I see. It's an interesting one. But when you look at our policies, like black economic empowerment, expropriation of land without compensation, and so on, do you think that we should relook at them?
I think
Because it's not only America that is saying, look, we have a problem with these, other countries too are.
I think we the foundations were good. The
Mm,
need was absolutely critical.
mm,
I think it got derailed, and therefore it needs to be reviewed
mm,
because you cannot get the purity back in BEE
mm,
once the tenderpreneurs
mm,
have defined it differently. You you cannot put the genie back in the bottle
mm,
of land reform
mm,
once um, you've you've lost the moral momentum of what the land means
mm,
um, to people. And so, to a large extent, we can plod on as if nothing has happened, as if there was no aberration.
yes.
Or we can say, where were we when the aberration happened? How do we purify this and how do we modify it?
Mm,
And so, for example, speaking about appeasement,
yes.
when I was negotiating in the US with Starlink,
Starling, Elon Musk, yeah.
Elon Musk's
Mm,
people, it was very clear that they were not going to give 30% of their company
mm,
to a black-owned entity
to
because they never give away 30% of their company, they
mm,
say. So we said, no, okay. So can we get the equivalent of that 30% in offsets?
an offsets, okay.
And we started to then speak about how they can connect 8,000 rural schools
Schools.
to the internet
Mm,
and to facilitate e-learning. And
mm.
suddenly
Suddenly it opens up
it
another.
opens up. So
Mm,
what I'm saying is that BEE is important,
mm,
but it is not dogmatic. How do we modify it and
mm.
how do we purify it?
Because at the end of the day,
And expand it because it can't be the usual suspects anymore.
because at the end of the day, that 30% is gonna go to the politically elite, uh,
And
who are
that's what
not really previously
and that's what they
disadvantaged.
accused us of.
And
When we negotiated, that's
mm,
what they accused us of. They say, who are you? Who are you? Who's your government going to send that will benefit
mm.
from it?
And I'm sure you had a whole lot of lineup of consortia.
No, I don't know. No one told me who where they would be. They had a few suggestions, which I can't explain because it was in confidence, of
Mm,
who they think will grab it.
mm,
And they were saying, no. If I rather have to pay them off, I'll pay them off.
mm.
But I won't give them 30% of our
30%.
company. So that's when the idea of the offset
The offset.
began to take root.
Some of these American tech companies like Microsoft, Oracle, who operate in South Africa, they also don't have a 30%
No,
black
we've managed.
stake. And I mean, there is also an offset empowering black
Absolutely.
companies
That's
and
the
so
example
on.
that we're using.
Mm,
And that's why I'm saying that we mustn't think that all foreign companies coming in have been subjected to
to
a
that
30% rule.
30%. Mm,
We have had historically a a way in which to negotiate it.
mm,
I know, for example,
yes.
that when we brought in investors,
Mm,
we were working on offset rather than on 30%
on 30%.
equity.
Mm,
But there were people um, in the
mm,
Zuma inner circle who came
okay.
and said, no, no, no,
Mm,
don't deviate from this law. We want
30%.
the 30%.
Mm,
So the point of the matter is
mm,
that that's why I say we need to purify it,
mm,
get back to its pragmatism
yes.
and sophisticate it so that it can be put at the for the benefit of the country.
How would you purify it, Ambassador Rasool? Would you can that 30%? Because if you look at Starlink, that low orbit satellite could be a massive benefit to the
No,
South African especially in areas that traditional broadband hasn't been in.
And more than that,
Yeah. Mm.
why I saw the need for it, despite my dislike for Elon Musk,
Mm.
why I saw the need for it
Mm.
was the fact that it would compete with MTN,
The monopolies.
Vodacom, and
Vodacom.
Cell C, and so forth, and have a drive down effect on
Mm.
pricing, and could have a cooperative effect
Mm.
because, especially when we were energy fraught,
Mm.
you needed things that didn't depend
Mm.
on energy supply to the towers.
To the towers, yeah.
So they are.
Mm.
But we also need to bracket it with an ethical, sovereign guardrail,
Mm.
because you can't also, if you don't have those guardrails in place, and that's where we will have to negotiate hard with the Elon Musks,
Mm.
you can't use it as a point of extraction of intelligence, information, and data.
Mm.
Because if you control our
The communication.
communications, we need to have the safeguards.
Mm.
So you see, these are the complications that I think we often don't understand, and these are really the stuff that we were making enormous progress on.
Mm. And how, when you look at the Minister of Trade and Industry, how do you think he's handling this?
I have enormous respect for Minister Tao. I think we are kind of contemporaries. I
Yeah.
think he's an intelligent person. I don't
Mm.
think um, he's tainted.
Mm.
Um, I sometimes wonder whether he depends too much on his advisors,
His advisors.
and whether that makes the progress cumbersome. But I think that if anyone can strategically steer us through, it is someone like him,
Mm.
that has this kind of non-binary vision, them and us vision. I think
Yes.
he can operate in that gray area.
Mm. And the latest news now is China is also offering duty-free access to their market. What do you think of that when
I think
China
it's.
opens up?
I was interviewed on CGTN,
Mm.
the Chinese news channel, the other night,
Yes, yes.
about this,
Mm.
and I see this as an enormously important transitional
Mm.
move while we are. So we can treat it in two ways.
Mm.
We can treat it as a bridge that will span the remainder of Trump's term,
Okay.
and that will give us relief, or we can see it
Mm.
as a transition to a new world order in which the United States has imploded itself. And then we need to have um, alternatives.
Alternatives. Mm.
So for me, both ways, it's a good thing,
Mm.
because just the fact that they have kept some, they're importing already 5 different fruits from
Yes.
South Africa, keeps more farm workers
Mm.
employed. So that's great. If they give complete duty free, that would be
Mm.
excellent. For us, it compensates for any loss of a goer
Mm.
or impact on a goer of tariffs. Because remember, you are now saying Trump is picking and choosing
Mm.
what he wants
Oh, what he
duty
wants
free.
duty free.
So he wants our
Mm.
critical minerals duty free, manganese and platinum.
Mm.
That went
Oh,
on. No,
must
no
go
30%
no
of that.
30%
He
of
wants
that.
that. But I think it begins to build up our contingency muscle to
Mm.
have other partners.
Other partners.
And so I think our Minister of Trade and Industry is doing exceptionally well in going to Europe and opening those doors, and they are receptive. Going east and opening those doors, and they are receptive. And this announcement by China, which will take effect in March, I think is an absolute, not a lifeline. The 5 fruits were a lifeline. This is a lifeboat
Yes.
to South Africa. We do lose
Mm.
because China tends to take raw materials. They tend to be more extractive, whereas the US, as I've always argued, takes manufactured goods. There's more value
Oh, the added
in
goods.
in that.
Like the cars that we're sending then.
But the US is messing up by the tariffs that they've put and negating the advantage. And so, for example, if part of the deal with China, and which I believe is the case, is that where US automotives are receding, Chinese manufacture happens here. If we can capture, given our infrastructure, our skills level in Eastern Cape and other
the
places,
Eastern Cape.
if we can capture the Chinese automotive manufacturing component there and be the exporter into Africa, that would be a great win for us.
And how do you think we should approach our geopolitical approach globally?
I think it's
What does non-alignment mean, really?
I think
Because everyone is saying we're non-aligned, but what does non-alignment mean?
I think South Africa needs to, and it's difficult in terms of their values and interests. But I think, for example, that we try to catch up on the Russia-Ukraine war.
Okay.
And I know the initial statement by Minister Pandor at that point was to say that that any illegal invasion of land is wrong.
That's what she said at first. And
That's
then
what she said, and then it was changed.
it
So
was
I
changed.
think that, you see, South Africa doesn't want to fall into the same category of the US of strategic hypocrisy.
Because we're looking at the other side.
Yes,
because Russia was helping us during apartheid.
And when I was, for example,
Soviet Union.
when I was, for example, in the US and they confronted me on the Russia-Ukraine thing,
What's your view on that?
I said to them, what? And the Lady R was the big thing about the ship in Simonstown that ostensibly took weapons to Russia. I said, what can a country on the southern tip of Africa supply to a nuclear superpower?
Like Russia.
Like Russia. And then they laugh because they see it's ridiculous. But you almost had to concede that we were ambiguous about condemning Russia as fulsomely as condemning Israeli invasion. But the point of the matter is, I said, what if our president were to negotiate between Putin and
Ukraine,
and Zelensky, and what happens is that we insist that any settlement of the war must be on the basis of what I called the status quo ante. What was the status of the land distribution before the invasion?
Okay.
Or is it the belief of President Trump that the war should be settled on the basis of the status quo as it is now? That whatever Russia has captured, Russia keeps.
Oh, keeps, like the Eastern.
So you see, what I did was I put the dilemma back into their court because they knew that probably President Trump was going to settle on the status quo as is now.
Oh, okay.
That Putin can keep what he's gotten. And that's why Zelensky is not taking the peace plan. And I said, because the same principle would apply in Israel-Gaza.
Oh, okay, I see.
You can't settle Israel-Gaza on the status quo as it is now. What Israel has captured, what it has declared demilitarized zones, what the Riviera, that stays. And Gazans are only in that part. And whatever they've settled in the West Bank, that stays as is. You've got to go to the status quo ante. So you see, that's the kind of diplomacy that I think unpicks it. But coming to your point, I think that we mustn't retreat on our geopolitical positions.
Okay.
We must not be ambiguous about it. We mustn't have two standards. And thirdly, we must accelerate our geopolitical diplomacy in order to be part of the midwifery of the new world order, of a multilateral world, and to say goodbye to the unilateral world where the US was the sole determiner of how things work.
That's an interesting one. And what do you think of Donald Trump wanting to take Greenland? And
it all sounds mad when he says, "Oh, Canada must be
for
up
Europe
first.
Pay for its own
Yeah,
security.
we're taking Greenland. We're bombing the Houthis there. we're wanting to do this with this with the Panama Canal. It all sounds mad. But part of what I discovered then already in the US was that there's a method in the madness. And the
So it's
method,
all a strategy.
and the method is the critical minerals. You see, before he even appointed a cabinet, Donald Trump appointed in the White House a critical mineral czar, someone to look after the US interest. They've made a calculation that for the US to remain the superpower and to outstrip China, they need 50 critical minerals.
For AI rush and so on.
Absolutely. But of the 50, they are 100% dependent on imports from other countries for 12 of them.
Oh, for 12 of them.
For about 29 of them, they are 50% dependent on imports from the rest of the world. And more or less from the rest, they are absolutely dependent on China. And China has monopolized 90% of the processing of critical minerals, like gallium, as I said earlier. But the point of the
matter... Then our ferrochrome goes there and then they...
Yes. So the point of the matter is, that's the method. But they know that as the ice is melting in Greenland and the Arctic, what's lying underneath it? Canada has 20% of the world's critical minerals under its ice. Africa has 30% of the world's critical minerals. And let me tell you.
Interesting. So as the ice is melting, they're seeing opportunities.
They're seeing opportunities.
I didn't see it like that.
And the critical minerals must flow without the Houthis being able to shoot down the ships as they go to the Suez Canal.
So even trade routes, shipping routes as well, they just...
As they can't allow the critical minerals to be impeded by Panama having high prices through the Panama Canal of the ships. They can't have Russia controlling the North Sea for the flow of critical minerals. And in their madness, they even fantasize about the Western Cape being separate, because then that's another trade route.
The Cape.
Because you've got the deepest port in Saldanha, and you've got a busy port in Cape Town. So the point of the matter is that these are all the kind of methods that goes with this kind of madness. And that's what it's about.
Yeah, it's an interesting...
And to put it differently, who sat behind Trump the day of his inauguration? Was it his new cabinet? Or was it the tech barons?
Yeah, the Elon Musk were there.
All of them were there.
Zuckerberg was there. Jeff Bezos was there.
And they are the ones who see themselves as the beneficiaries of this grab for critical minerals and rare earth elements.
The state capture on another level.
And they don't mind fingerprints now. They just run everything through executive orders in the White House. They've got safe hands. They're following the script of Jacob Zuma. What's the first thing you change? You get rid of the scorpions and you put in place the mild hawks.
The mild hawks.
You change the director of public prosecutions and you bring in someone who will, like a Kash Patel.
And then you weaken all these
You weaken all of it. You will never be caught. You have the Attorney General who will take your name out of the Epstein files.
And what do you think about President Ramaphosa's presidency?
Look, I think that
it also has been a disappointment, though.
It has had a stabilizing effect.
Only at the end, you would say.
I think the long game is coming together. I think I see in President Ramaphosa the same regret that I saw in Barack Obama. Because Barack Obama, after becoming president on a wave of popularity, he had the White House, he had the Senate, he had the Congress, he had the administration all behind him, he had the American people behind him, and he tried to play nice with his enemies. He tried to make them like him. He tried to appease them. And then by the next election, he lost Congress and the Senate. And he couldn't move. He was a lame duck. we've had an even greater Ramaphosa
Mm.
after 2017.
After Zuma.
The question is, what the country wanted was what you do with that Ramaphosa.
Mm.
How decisive do you get with it? If you wanted to make changes when the point when your approval ratings were 60%, do it now.
Do it now.
If anyone must go to jail, do it.
Mm.
Charge them. Don't, when the man is in jail, you commute
You
12,000 sentences, and one of them that steps free is Jacob Zuma.
Exactly.
Because you may lose on the roundabouts in KwaZulu-Natal, but you gain on the swings in the rest of the country.
The rest of the
And so all of that took us to 40%. And so the point of the matter is that it will always be disappointing that the ANC lost its absolute majority.
Were you disappointed when they lost?
Obviously, we've put our lives into the ANC. We believed in it even through the Zuma years. We always blamed the individual and not the movement.
Not the movement.
But the fact of the matter is, and that's why we all worked hard to get him and his proxies removed at Nasrec 1.
At Nasrec.
In 2017. And we made sure. But the fact of the matter is, we will look back and say, did we use those moments? I mean, I think that looking back, we will say we were doing hambagashli when we should have done a baleka.
Ambassador Rasool, you also paid a heavy price, during apartheid, being incarcerated, tortured, and all of that. Do you think it was all worth it?
No, absolutely. Would
you do it again?
I would do it again, and that's why I think, and maybe some people won't understand it, I think the Palestinians and the Sudanese and the Syrians and the people of the Arab Spring are giving us opportunities to do it again.
To do it again.
Because wherever there is oppression and injustice and inequality, I think South Africa needs to be a moral conscience in the world.
In the world.
And so, because the world looks to us, they see us as having navigated a very difficult, long period of hardship and come out fairly well. They get disappointed when we stumble, like we've done with corruption and state capture.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is, I do it again. And that was the kind of way in which I needed to analyze whether about the declaration of persona non grata.
Yeah.
I could look my children in the eye. And, in Islam, there's a saying of the Prophet that says that the greatest jihad, the greatest struggle, is to speak the truth in the face of a tyrant. You don't speak the truth when you're far from the tyrant, when the tyrant has retired, when he's dead, and all of those kind of things. Ducking when the tyrant is flashing out. You've got to. You don't have to. You've got to counterbalance that with speaking the truth with wisdom and beautiful ways. So I looked at it and I played that video again of my input, and I thought that I'd found the balance. So the point of the matter is, that's what the world expects from a nation of freedom fighters. It's that our white community, who are now newly empowered by the presidency of Trump, our own white community in South Africa, they are far more assertive.
Yeah, they've got
bold. They've grown new balls with Trump's presidency. I bumped into someone in my local shopping center. They say, "Oh, you're still around, you disgrace." I said, "No, look, what are you still doing here? You've got a free pass for a refugee. Or is life too good here?
To go to America.
Why don't you go? Trump has invited you." And he just, because he knows that life is too good for them here.
And I saw a clip of the refugees. They are a bit struggling in it.
No, I tell you, you
But
see,
do you think Afrikaners are used as a front?
yes, obviously. You know, any cause needs a victim. There are very few white victims in America, very few white victims in Europe.
Mm.
And so the only ones who are saying we are white victims are South Africans, whites.
Mm.
So they've become the very easy victims
Mm.
of the Trump administration, because any supremacism needs a justification.
Do you think Israel is behind that, though? They are the ones
I'm
who are
not.
saying
I
punish South Africa
no.
to
Obviously, Israel.
America.
Obviously, Israel has a interest
Mm.
in defeating South Africa's morality and South Africa's case in the ICJ,
Mm.
and their major weapon is the USA.
Mm.
But whether it is instrumentalized in that simple conspiratorial way is another matter. But
Mm.
Israel benefits from South, because you see, Israel underestimated South Africa.
Mm.
They thought we'll pitch up at the ICJ with a heart full of solidarity, a mouth that's
Yeah.
inarticulate,
Mm.
and evidence that is
Yeah.
emotional, and
Mm.
all of that. They didn't expect
Mm.
that we would pitch up there with a diverse legal team,
Mm.
with a competent legal team, with a brilliant argument, with evidence that's thousands and thousands of
Mm.
pages and videos and so forth, and scientific evidence and so forth. So they're panicking.
Mm.
The first time they came there, they thought they might just pitch up and the judges will all stand with them. They were surprised that even the Israeli judge
Mm.
voted with us on some issues.
On some of the issues.
The only one they could get was the one they bought.
Mm.
And so.
And what do you say to the detractors that say Iran paid South Africa to take?
It's absolute nonsense. Iran is so sanctioned it can't even get money out of the country or into the country.
Mm.
So the fact of the matter is that um, they need to create a straw doll,
A straw. Mm.
a straw man for to connect South Africa's case with Israel and with Iran.
With Iran.
Because then they can say, oh, yeah, you see here, Iran supplies the Houthis and they bombing ships.
They also supply
Iran,
the
Hamas, and they firing rockets. Hamas, Hezbollah, and they fighting. Hamas, ANC.
Mm.
So you see, we must resist analyzing by conspiracy,
Mm.
but the other side operates by conspiracy. And Iran is that conspiratorial thing. If we were so close to Iran, why did we not just give Iran all the enriched uranium that we took out of our?
We even doing military drills with them. They were here as well.
Which we are even in BRICS with him.
Mm.
That's not the issue. Others can't choose our friends. If you have undemocratic friends, don't tell us we can't have undemocratic friends.
I see.
If you can shoot protesters in Minnesota, don't tell us that we can't be friends with those who shoot protesters in Iran. We'll have that discussion with them. Why are you now so worried about the protesters that were shot there, but you said nothing when the Arab Spring in Egypt was subjected to a coup d'etat? And hundreds of protesters, thousands of protesters died in Rabah in Egypt. I mean, let's not trade hypocrisy.
Yeah, no, definitely. I see. But last but not least, Ambassador Rasool, are you optimistic about South Africa? Are you optimistic?
Look, we underestimate the last miracle that happened in South Africa. And this is something that I said to accentuate my claim that we remain flawed but a moral superpower. What happened when the ANC lost the election and moved from 57% to 40%?
To 40%.
That was the last miracle. Did Ramaphosa pick up the phone to the chief of staff of the army, the commissioner of the police, and say, listen, guys, this is the time we're taking over? No. Did he go to the ANC NEC and say, listen, guys, we're not accepting this result. We are going to ask not just for a recount, but for a revote.
A revote.
We don't recognize this election. No. He went to the IEC, stood on that podium and said, we have heard the electorate. We accept the result. In 2 weeks' time, we will have a government of national unity. That is a miracle. And that makes me optimistic. The fact that our constitution could eventually catch up with state capture. The fact that the ANC could accept an election loss. The fact that we have a government of national unity that has opposite forces in it, that gives me hope. So I've seen far worse to believe that this is bad.
You've seen far worse. And you happy with the GNU partners, the DA?
Look, I think that that everyone is playing games. I think that I've been the one ANC leader who has had to work with coalitions all the time. And the DA is taking the script from how we were in the government of provincial unity, where we were both government and opposition. And that's how we became the government. So I can see the DA playing exactly the same script. So cowboys don't cry. Cowboys don't cry, but the Indians must play smarter.
And with the ANC succession, you've got Fikile Mbalula, Patrice Motsepe, and Paul Mashatile. Who do you think is more favorable to take that conference?
You see, the ANC often pronounces it's not about individuals, but then it plays the individuals' game.
Oh, yeah, like the branches. I'm still waiting for the
Still
branches.
waiting for the branches. That's performative politics.
Yeah.
If you want to strike a decisive blow against money politics, against performative politics, against pretending that all the branches organically just mobilize and this, that, and some branches legally did not comply, and that's why they didn't cooperate and all. I mean, we've seen this movie too many times. I actually think the ANC nationally today is where the Western Cape ANC was after the 94 defeat.
After the 94 defeat.
And where we decided that we needed a no-name brand, constructed leadership democratically endorsed. The same way that we asked the question, what kind of leadership collective should we put together and present to conference? Who will be the face as president and who has the competence to pull us out of this rut? Who will do this? How does everyone see themselves in this top 7? Can we and we play a lot of things on gender representativity, but I think we've lost the non-racial urgency within it.
Within it as well.
And so
there's this black chauvinistic.
Yeah, whether they're chauvinist is another, but it looks black.
Yeah, it does look black.
Okay.
I totally agree with you.
Yeah. And so I think this is the moment for...
But they've lost that part.
So this is the moment for a constructed leadership, because anyone who wants to run for president may end up having the honor of reading the obituary at the funeral of the ANC.
You're quite right.
If we continue on this trajectory, that's the path we're going to. But if we grab this moment by the scruff of the neck and we say, let's live with the fact that we don't have the very corrupt amongst us anymore. They're in MKP. The populists, they're in EFF. Let's leave them there, but use what we have to construct a leadership that will be the country, that will give confidence to the country, that will win trust of the electorate again, and that will have the ability to pick us up from our 40% or 25% or 30%. We can't afford at the end of this year to emerge as a rural party. and lost all the metros.
And it looks like it. Reminds me of the Bantu stand. It'll
But
be like a Matanzima party.
but but
Mm,
those are the debates that we must have
mm,
with the ANC and within the ANC. And but I don't have. I think my hope is in the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and the institutions that we have built. I think that there are enough firewalls. Sometimes they're weak,
mm.
but they are enough.
They are not. Thank you very much, Ambassador
Oh,
Rasool. I really enjoyed this. Really, really enjoyed this. And I wish you all the best of luck with the work that you are doing. I will be following you. And but thank you very much.
no, thank you. All
Bye,
the best.
Danke.
Baie dankie.
Thank you very much.